buying a queen bee or queen bees through the post, what do you get? Well, let's have a look. These are our shipping boxes that we send our queens out in through Royal Mail. We send them special delivery to make sure that they get to you in good condition and they're on an insured service. These go through hands only. It's the best way that we can send them. They leave us, we cage them on the day of sending, and they get to you the very next day, usually before 1 p.m. So you'll see inside the box we've got the queens in nice holders. These are queen cages that the queens come in, and if we take one out to have a little look, with the queen cage you've got a fondant end, which is where the bees are feeding from. You've got the queen in there, you've got the workers, which are attendants for the queen, so they look after the queen. They feed the queen during transports. With virgin queens like this one, we don't mark them at all because people don't tend to like them marked, but with a mated queen she will come marked with this year's colour is green, so it'll depend on the year that she was born what colour she'll be. The first thing that you need to do with your queens is give them a tiny little droplet of water, a tiny drop on your finger, and just smear it on the cage. That'll allow the workers to just take up a little bit of water because they've been in the boxes for a day or so, so they'll need a little bit of hydration. And what you'll need to do is think about when you're introducing the queen to your hive, whether you want to have the workers decanted or not. If you're importing queens from anywhere, there's a lot of suppliers that import queens from other countries. Those bees, the workers, have to go to the National Bee Unit for analysis for disease and exotic pests. So it's important that the workers are not introduced to the hive at the same time. It's slightly different here in that these are all of our own queens. We're not importing them at all. These literally get pulled out of a colony on one day and they're with you the very next day. It's really important that you actually knock down all of the queen cells and don't give them the chance to raise their own queen. So when we're looking for queen cells, it's important to have a look at the whole of the frame. I always work in a clockwise direction, moving around like that. You can see this is all solid worker brood, really nice and flat. You can see these parts here are drone brood, so it's more bumpy. And we're looking for queen cells which are a more defined projection off the comb. You can see right on the bottom here a favourite place, that is what looks like the startings of a queen cell. We'd want to have a look in because sometimes when they're really early they're just called a queen cup when there's nothing in them. When you start getting the jelly in there and you've got a very tiny little larvae in there developing, that is a queen cell. It's things like this that can get really easily missed when you're looking for cells before you introduce a queen, and these queen cells absolutely must be taken down before you try to put a queen in. So we can just squash that out with the finger or the hive tool. Now if you're struggling to actually see queen cells because there's loads of bees on the frame, one thing that we can do is shake the bees from the frame. When we're shaking bees you want to have a bit of space for the frame to go, and it's going from up here down there in one action and stopping quite abruptly. You can do that in a couple of goes. We've lost a lot of the bees off the frame now, so it's a lot easier for us to actually see any queen cells. And when we look at the other side of the frame, we've actually got a few more that the bees were hiding from us. So we can pinch those out. And again, if you want to have a little look in this one, we'll just peel the edge of the queen cup back here, and you've got the jelly and the larvae inside. So we've got the queen in the cage here, we're ready to introduce. We've checked the colony for queen cells. We're now going to remove the plastic tab, which is really important. This is a step that a lot of people forget to do. We just snap the tab off like that. That exposes the candy here so that the bees inside can eat their way through and release the queen. When we come to introduce, we'll prise the frames apart a little bit. She'll go in between the centre frames in the brood nest, candy end down, and then you'll just push the frames up to close that gap. We'll put the cover board back on the roof and then leave her alone for 2 weeks. That is so that the queen's pheromone can build up, she can have a chance to start laying. If you interfere too early, too quickly, after a few days, you can get delayed rejections from the bees where they just don't really get used to the queen. So it's important to leave her completely alone for 2 weeks before you go back and check that that queen has taken and that there's signs of eggs and that queen is laying.